Westside Gunn, ya fucking asshole. If you think you can just go on Twitter and call out Shady Records, a record label who was made by who happens to be my favorite rapper of all time, and then drop a fucking album a week later and expect me to talk about it and review it with some kind words, well, guess what? Just like that tweet of yours, I'm talking mad shit because I don't take kindly to that bullshit. And furthermore, I'm just fucking around. I actually don't really give a fuck. What is up, my beautiful people? My name is G-Benz and welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be talking about the new album by Westside Gunn entitled Flygod is an Awesome God 2. And I might be tripping, but I feel that this is the first time we see an album cover by this guy and we actually get to see his face. Like, I feel like every other like album cover that I've seen from him like was just like a fucking blurred out face and shit, and you know, I just feel a bit weird because I feel like I've never seen this before. This is the latest project by Westside Gunn. Comes to us about nearly a year since the first installment of Flygod It's an Awesome God came out last year in the summer as well. And personally, I thought it was a pretty decent album. It was one of my favorite albums that he's dropped. And a few people, I guess, didn't agree with me because when I did a video on it, someone said that it was the worst album he ever made. And I just really couldn't understand why. I mean, I thought everything about it was perfect. You know, I fucking thought that all the features were great. And, you know, for the most part, I just thought it was a really good album in general. So I just, like, didn't understand that. And this also does come to us only about 2 months, less than 2 months actually, since his third studio album that dropped earlier this year in April, entitled Pray for Paris. And in my opinion, that was the best shit that Westside Gunn has ever dropped so far. And since then, I've been really excited to see what else he was gonna do next. So Westside Gunn has been getting a lot of attention lately, and he fucking knows it. You know, he clearly understands it, and he honestly is still trying to keep that popularity as he continues his winning streak with his second project of the year. In my opinion, there is one thing that the Griselda crew never ever gets recognition for, and that's their ability to keep everybody on the edge of their fucking seats for us to wonder what is up next. And that goes for not only Westside Gunn, but for Conway the Machine and Benny the Butcher as well. You know, I think that these dudes are probably the most talented, like, underrated fucking rap group in the entire fucking world, and probably the most popular. You know, I don't think even the Strange Music fans are as crazy as the Griselda like fans are. You know, these guys are always getting hyped up. People are always wondering like what's next, and honestly, I don't blame them because these guys are super mysterious or super weird, and they just have a way of always bringing you back. Even when you think that you've heard everything from them, they come back and just hit you in the fucking face with something new. And this album is no different, as Westside Gunn delivers a much more aggressive album than Pray for Paris. Pray for Paris was a much more chill album than what we're used to from a Westside Gunn project. And on this album, Westside Gunn is pretty much on a mission to like create the best art in the culture, you know, not to be the best rapper, not to like create a #1 album, but to just overall like give the culture a piece of art that they've been missing. And in my opinion, although I did really enjoy the first installment, I think that this project is way more better than the first one. And I think a lot of you who said that the first one was the worst album that he made so far would probably agree with me. Westside Gunn once again delivers an album with the signature boom bap style, and he also has a lot of shit to say, as Westside Gunn adds a lot of his 2 cents and a lot of his opinions on the current events going on in 2020 right now, specifically with the whole like police brutality and the whole riots that are going on. Westside Gunn's iconic voice and unique flow is back again, as he pretty much declares war on the music industry and sort of like shows why the underground is a lot more better than the overrated shit that you hear a lot these days. And of course, the production value on this album is really impressive again, and you know, we once again get that 90s rap mix with classic jazz. And I also really like the little bit of interludes that we get throughout the album. It's actually quite a lot this time, and especially, you know, the wrestling like sort of audios at the end of almost every track, which kind of hype up, you know, not only the kind of artist that Westside Gunn is, but sort of hype up the next song that's about to appear. And of course, besides all the traditional Westside Gunn vibes that we get throughout this album that always like make us a really enjoyable project by him, I do think the other thing that Westside Gunn never gets recognition for is that he can deliver one hell of a fucking guest list. And This album is no different as Westside Gunn teams up with some of New York's finest artists. And although I could talk about all of the features, I want to take a moment to talk about three of my favorite songs with the features. Syracuse rapper Stove God Cook shows up on 3 tracks on this album, including Jose Canseco, One More Hit, and my personal favorite, Bubba Chuck. Bubba Chuck, in my opinion, is just a really great lyrical song, as both Stove God and Westside Gunn do a sort of like tag team in that song, and just throughout the whole album, you know, they sound really good together. They're a fucking like really like great duo and a fucking force to be reckoned with. I know Westside Gunn said that he wanted to give Stove God a much more like bigger spotlight, because I think Stove God dropped an album recently and it unfortunately didn't get the attention that it deserved, and so he just really like wanted to put him on the map for a bit. And I really like do appreciate that, and I do respect that. You know, I do appreciate that Westside Gunn is shining a light and sort of like giving the spotlight to artists who truly do deserve it, because I never heard of Stove God before, but he honestly is a really dope MC. He's a really great like hardcore and lyrical rapper, and in my opinion was like one of the biggest highlights for me on this album. And of course, Westside Gunn once again teams up with fellow Griselda brother Benny the Butcher and another artist known as Boldy James on a track entitled Buffs versus Wires. And in my opinion, that's a sort of like Buffalo versus everybody sort of anthem, because it does come to us after the skit known as Fuck the Police. And that, you know, that skit is where you pretty much hear a real news audio of a story of somebody hitting a bunch of fucking officers like with their car during a riot that was going on in Buffalo after, you know, the George Floyd murder, obviously. And you know, it just sort of like makes you feel that this is like Westside Gunn like way of saying, you know, obviously fuck the police, you know, we don't care that there's riots, because, you know, we are more concerned about officers killing innocent black people. And, you know, it just, you know, I think that was like probably like one of the best like Let's Start a Riot sort of song that I've heard in a fucking while this year. And of course, Keisha Plum once again shows up on this album on a track entitled Rebirth, and that one is more like a 90s like mix with rap sort of vibe, you know, like a classic 90s and rap song. And you know, once again, you know, I've said this many times, but I think Keisha Plum and Westside Gunn, like, they just always make some like really beautiful fucking songs together. You know, her voice is just like, she has the voice of a fucking angel in my opinion. And you know, I always think that they're not going to sound well together, because Westside Gunn has a much more like different style than Keisha. And you know, once again, they proved me wrong, because they once again created another like great soulful song. Honestly, I think there's only one song on this album that I didn't like, and that was the song entitled Drive By Love. It's not that I didn't think the like flow was bad, or that, you know, the sound of it was just bad. It's just, I just felt it was a bit unnecessary, because it was just like a sort of like pussy anthem, kind of like this sort of sex anthem. You know, I'm not trying to say that Westside Gunn shouldn't do any sex songs, because, you know, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. You know, I just personally didn't vibe with it. But besides that one song, I think every track on here, the interludes included, were really great. But if I did have to choose one song, I think my favorite song is probably the last track entitled Steve Burr. In my opinion, this last track is a great ending track for this album. It includes the rapper Rome Streetz, who in my opinion is a really great and fantastic rapper. You know, I've never heard of him before, but the moment I heard his fucking like fast flow, just him going in, you know, I was like really surprised. But the thing I really like the most about this ending track is that the last 2 minutes of it is somebody like sort of like preaching to the people, and it sort of like puts shit into like perspective that, you know, we're never gonna be like truly free unless we start treating each other like decent human beings, and sort of like stop seeing race and everything, and sort of and just like sort of like see each other as just human beings, and, you know, just you know, forget all like that shit that makes us different, you know, even though it's gonna take a long time, you know. But I do truly believe that this song just sort of like showed me that if we just like got together and you know, just forgot about all the bullshit, you know, it would all be okay. Overall, Westside Gunn went hard on every track on this album, and he once again delivered a great album for his discography. And even though Griselda didn't win the BET award recently, I do think that this album proved why Griselda is filled with a family of fucking stars, and why they are a force to be reckoned with. And I highly recommend this one to each and every one of you. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click that bell down below, all that good stuff, so you don't miss a single one of my uploads whatsoever. And don't forget, to stay happy.
Hey yo, pumping the Mary's got me walking on bow leg, free slide. To the fast street, my old head, the world full with pathetic.